fish 'em up,
Fish 'em up, fish 'em up, fish 'em up, fish 'em up.
This is why you can't let me vamp. It's all song lyrics.
Well, we don't need to vamp anymore because we could actually just go to our call-in earlier than planned.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Because everything's ready.
I get to sit down now.
So let's do that. Oh, okay. Goodbye.
Extended time.
In that case, please welcome, joining us through the magic of the internet. No, not Colin. Our call-in. I mean, Colin isn't here either. But via the telepresence robot? No. This is we thought about it, but we also thought that this might be, I don't know, an iota more of a serious phone call than we thought maybe the telepresence robot might be a bad idea.
I think the
please
robot
welcome.
forgot to...
It's Travis from Child's Play. Hello!
Hey, Travis.
Hey guys, how's it going? Oh, hey,
There we are. We can hear
Yes.
you.
We're
hey.
It's Travis Eriksen
There we go.
from Child's Play. Hello!
Hello.
How are you doing?
I am doing wonderful. I try to get my blue background to get Night Watch themes.
It looks
Looking
excellent.
good.
It is appreciated.
Yeah, I love the backlighting. That's great.
It's when you have to get a good home office, you need a good like lighting setup to feel like you're official.
Thank you. I've recently done some number of phone things with people that I'm just sort of like, it's been 2 years of pandemic. How have you not yet figured out how to make your home discussion zone, function?
I really wish you wouldn't at me like
no,
this.
Chad, no. No, Chad gave me my auction, but this was the first live auction outfit.
Oh.
Incredible.
Suit on top and sweatpants on the bottom.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, it's
But the background has evolved quite a bit since then. It's not just a flag.
Yeah. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, that's true. We have, as chat points out, we did make a joke. I don't know when this was actually. Was this during Desert Bus or during Loading Ready Live when we realized how much stuff
live.
people had taken from the Loading Ready
That was live,
offices?
yes.
Live.
Yeah, including chairs.
Those were all my
House.
tripods, by the way.
Chairs,
I know.
cables, tripods. Kathleen was sitting on like the worst chair from the office, but someone else had taken, one of the human scales.
Yeah. Pardon me. Oh, awkward. All right. I'm coordinating
First off,
food things. Sorry. Hello.
Yes.
I'm glad that I wasn't on for the Omegathon segment to answer questions.
Oh yeah.
As the guy who has to run it.
Oh right.
Oh, yeah. We have to maintain the sanctity of the separation.
Don't worry. We were only giving bad advice.
Don't flip the tables. The union guys in Philly will have to come back out. Set the tables back. It's a whole thing in Philly. Let's not do this.
It was bad
The rest of the
advice.
advice top notch.
Excellent. It's all right. It's up to them to discern which is good advice, which is bad advice. We'll file that under bad advice. We won't let them discern it themselves. That's guaranteed bad advice. No table flipping, chat. You heard it here.
Sorry, I'm coordinating another unrelated thing, which is very awkward timing. So Travis, you've been, I mean, obviously you've been on Desert Bus before. You've been present at Desert Bus before as well.
I got to physically be there.
Yeah, on previous occasions, which hopefully will happen again at some point. But for the benefit of those watching now who may have missed you the previous time, or maybe new viewers or whatever, could you give just a quick who you are and what you do at Child's Play and what Child's Play is and does? We've talked about it several times, but
Heard it mentioned once or twice on a stream here.
best to hear it from you. Yeah.
So I am the executive director of Child's Play, which means really that I just get my fingers in all the pots of all the cool things that we do at Child's Play, and get to see the back end of the amazing work that all of you guys support us for doing. And I just recently came up with what I think is a really fun way to describe Child's Play's origin story, and use that a lot in trying to share with people what the heck Child's Play does. So for someone who stumbled across this completely new, has no idea what Child's Play is, and just found this wonderful Twitch stream and went, watch this stuff. Child's Play's been around since 2003. So unless someone can find some other fact, we're the oldest gaming charity in the gaming space. So we're coming up on 20 years.
That's amazing.
And it doesn't feel like it would be 20 years, but it's been going for quite a while. And Child's Play itself was wholly started out of spite. If you're a youth watching, I heard earlier I was born in 1919. What? Joke. If you're someone who goes 19, what? There was this time where in the news, video games were only portrayed negatively, and if you played them, you played murder simulators and were bad. And there was a newspaper article that came up. Mike and Jerry of Penny Arcade took umbrage to such and decided to invite their fans to donate toys to Seattle Children's Hospital just to force a positive news story. And here we are 19 years later in nearly 200 hospitals worldwide. And Child's Play has grown from just giving stuff, which is where we started, getting Game Boys and GameCubes and Xboxes into hospitals, to now realizing that stuff is no longer the limiting factor. Games and things are pretty prevalent inside hospitals, but what's not there is the knowledge and how to use games as part of therapy. So we're still giving consoles, we're still giving iPads, we're still giving Switches and things, but we're also working really hard to teach the child life staff inside the hospitals that we support how games can be used as an intentional part of therapy, so that when they're picking games, they're not just using them as a distraction, but they're really using games to help with the healing process.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Heck yes.
Sorry. Hello.
I've always been so impressed by the work that Child's Play does, but I feel like they're such an important force because of the fact that at the time, in 2003, nerds always have had a lot of money, but we've never had a lot of societal acceptance. And so, you would have, there's always been charities everywhere for people. You go do a marathon and raise some money, go door to door and knock on some things, ask people at your church. But there was never anything that spoke to that subculture of people, of nerds, and giving them that outlet, that target to focus their generosity on, has been a boon to everyone.
Yeah. And I love and this was, the funny thing is this was never actually intended as, like, this was not done intentionally, shall we say, but there's a similar origin to Desert Bus as well, right? We didn't pick Desert Bus because of this, but it ended up working out this way, that Desert Bus was originally created because of similar things, as you said, with in the States, Janet Reno and Hillary Clinton and people who were getting really angry at video games and were, violence they're causing violence in our children or whatever. And Penn and Teller were like, no, that's not true. And so they created this. They created Desert Bus as sort of like which they call a verisimulator, as a way to be like, all right, fine, we'll make a game that can trade, or that can train someone to do like a real job. It'll be really boring, but that's what we'll do. And yeah, we picked it because we thought it'd be funny. It was Frank Cifaldi and folks put it up on. I think Paul found it on waxy.org. We were talking about old.
Andy Bio involved.
Yeah,
too.
we were talking about video game or old
Very
Websites.
old
websites where you'd find stuff.
That still exists.
And yeah, Waxy's still around. And it was Paul thought, we should do something funny with playing Desert Bus. We should stream like a marathon play session of this. At the same time that James was like, we should do something to support Child's Play. And then we realized, we should combine those things. And that's that's where Desert Bus for Hope came from. But I just love that both Child's Play and Desert Bus come from similar spaces of sort of like, hey, wait a minute.
It's really worked out in the end, because it turns out when you do anything long enough, it does become funny.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
Welcome Raiders. I'm sorry, I didn't see where the Raiders came from. But
came from That's a Big Panda, I believe.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you all. Really appreciate it. I'm sorry, Travis.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's always fun to meet with other, like, nonprofit executives to talk about, like, nonprofit world and how we do things. And they're like, tell us about your charity. And so we're just this, like, spite joke to, like, stick it to the news and the man. And they're like, we want to make puppies, like, feel good. So, like, yeah, well, We're in the same field, aren't we?
I would say there's been a slight evolution since the spite joke that lets Child's Play compete in the charity exec level. Mm-hmm. It's like, and we're donating to hospitals worldwide.
Yeah,
we got a few funds that we spread around to spread joy and happiness to children.
Multi-million-dollar charity, international reach. Yes, there's some thought there too.
But
it's way more fun to go with spite. That feels like great.
As someone who's stolen it as a catchphrase, doing things out of spite is still doing them.
This is true. Yeah. Well, I mean, even as early as the first year, Paul described this particular fundraiser as a mixture of generosity and spite, because the viewers at home get to be generous, they get to give to charity, they get to do good work, while forcing us to stay in here,
and
play this game,
drive this bus,
and just exhaust ourselves for a week.
So really, we are just the shield against Child's Play from the generosity of the chat.
Yeah.
We're the meme blocking arrows.
Yes.
Spite deflectors.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate it.
Yeah. Right, yeah, in the very, Thor Sokar points out in the very first year of Desert Bus, Teller saying, at last, Desert Bus has found its true calling after all these years. Because it was never released. That's the wild thing. It was never actually released.
Wow.
Yeah, it's only some review copies happened to go out, and thank goodness they did. I don't know what.
Stumbled into your hands, yeah.
Yeah. So, what's, a couple years ago, I can't remember how many years ago now, we were talking about sort of the like a quantifiable dollar amount of like what basically like this amount of money does this good in terms of Child's Play. I'm sure that, as you say, things have evolved over the years, but can you speak at all to like there's all the viewers at home that are donating this money. What's something like tangible? Nah, maybe not. Maybe tangible is the wrong word. Can you tell us basically where that's going? What's all this money doing?
The best way to do this, probably, I'm gonna keep my eye on chat for Kirsten, who's our super numbers. We'll be like, here's real numbers, in fact. But at this point, Child's Play really has 3 strong pillars of support for the hospitals that we support. So we still, back to our origin, give an annual gift every year to the child life departments that we support. And that gift is a way for them to just maintain their gaming and their equipment. Because asking a hospital to budget for brand new game releases or an iPad that gets knocked off the counter in the middle of the year, it's not necessarily easy to get in the budget. So the funds that come from Child's Play let them buy new games as they come out, replace that broken iPad, things like that that would be tougher to get written into a budget otherwise. And we also, to all our U.S. hospitals, send an annual, we do a Christmas in July, where we get all the stuff we get from game companies over the years. So this last year, we got 10 pallets of things from PlayStation.
Ooh.
Wow.
PlayStation 4 games, PlayStation 4's VR kits, controllers, you name it, PlayStation
That's
just showers us
amazing.
with stuff. So our gifts this year were, here are our PlayStation games, as many as you can handle, and systems and everything else. But board games and controllers and games and swag and things like that. Leftover PAX merch is great that shows up after a PAX, where people are like,
Yep.
you know what, we got some of these games and we don't want to ship them home. Great.
Take.
So we scoop those up and we send them off. And kids love them, right? It's a great way to get things for them. So we do that for all of our partner hospitals. And then we have our grant program that has really grown. We really started it in 2017. And in 2017, we had no real direction with our grant program. We just let hospitals ask us for stuff, and we were like, just a genie. Your wish is granted.
Yeah.
Here is everything. And we realized we can't keep that up forever. That's hard to be a genie. It's expensive if you're not a real genie.
Yeah, eventually the wishes outlast the resources
Yes,
just by
very much.
how it goes, unfortunately.
And so we've really honed our grant program down to target 2 big needs that we see in hospitals. So we do a capacity building grant early in the year, and that's where we have started funding. You've had some of the game techs that we funded on as guests on Desert Bus.
Yes.
And we, at this point now, have funded 38 positions inside hospitals. And these game techs pushing the boundaries of how games and technology are being used inside the hospital. So they're working with doctors and therapists to integrate virtual reality or augmented reality into procedures, working with therapists on how to use Switch games to get kids up and moving, or VR to get kids moving, and seen just a huge impact in the hospitals that they're in, especially in the last 2 years when hospitals have been closed down and no one can come in, or maybe one parent can come in. So our game techs really got relied on a lot to help manage this video conferencing, Zooms and FaceTimes and things like that to keep families and children connected. So we've seen that their impact grow greatly in the last 2 years. Really seen them start to build some connected online gaming programs that were harder to do prior to COVID. So hey, there's a COVID silver lining we always tap into, which is hospitals have opened up to the idea of connecting to the outside world through games and the internet like that. And so along with that capacity building grant, we also do later in the year an equipment grant, which is a chance for them to come to us and ask for a bigger buy of equipment. Maybe they're redoing a teen room or a playroom and they want to get a PlayStation 5 and a new Xbox Series X and some games to go with them. Or maybe they just need to get their whole Child Life team onto the same generation of iPads because some of them have 12-year-old iPads and they can't run apps anymore. And so, yes, we'll come in and do that. We've done lots of requests for VR, and there are some really neat programs and companies we work with that do VR training modules inside the hospital to teach kids how to do things like MRI machines, or give them different focused games to play during different procedures. So to getting them those equipment. And then the third leg of our little tripod stool that we offer is just this opportunity to help be education for the Child Life staff. So we have our therapeutic video game guide. It's online now, actually. You can find it at gametherapy.org. And that guide helps you understand how games can target different symptoms. And so we look at how games can help address pain, anxiety, sadness, cognitive impairment, and then we break down short-term and long-term boredom. So that if you're not a gamer, but you're in charge of putting a game in the waiting room, we help you understand what's the right game that a kid can pick up, play quick, feel fun and distracted, but also when you say, hey, it's time for your appointment, they don't go, I'm still watching a cutscene, I've never played my game. I walk away from it. So giving them those tools and giving them access to us as a resource where they can call in and say, or email us and say, we got this donated, or kids asking about this, or we're thinking of using this.
That's
gives
gotta
them
be
the opportunity to have us as this hub of knowledge that we have, but also then connect them to hospitals and say, all right, don't just take our word for it. You know, the old Reading Rainbow style, right? Don't just take my word for it.
Right.
Here it is. And here's a hospital that's doing this. And that connection has been really important. When we were doing hospital visits, one of the first ones I went to was a hospital that had 360s, and they had them in every room, and they were excited about that, but they were still using wired controllers. And so their Xboxes weren't functional for them because wires from the wall to the TV, and you're trying to walk around with IV poles or whatever else. And I was like, I asked him, why don't you have wireless controllers? And somewhere in the Xbox manual, there's a CYA from Microsoft that says wireless controllers may interfere with medical equipment. So legal said, no, you can't use those. And I went, I've seen them in other hospitals. And being able to connect them to another hospital, because they're not going to trust me, but let them talk to another hospital, hear their experience, see that it's not been interfering. Heard back just a little bit later, we're moving to wireless controllers. This is amazing.
That's so
sweet.
That's a small example of the kind of thing that we can bring to them.
These are the things that I really love to hear, because it's one thing to drop a bunch of games on a hospital, but that's
which is cool, and I like it.
It's great, but it's a one-time thing. But hearing that the money is also going to to driving institutional knowledge within these hospitals and within the employees that work with the children, things that can only grow more and more. That's where the real benefit is.
Continuing the
Yeah,
education.
Yeah.
And that was what we saw when we started doing our hospital visits in 2015, 2016. Stuff was there, but we realized we need to step up. We need to do better, and we have the opportunity to do better. And we've really seen that grow since that time to have this impact of showing them games are more than just this distraction.
Yeah.
But here's how you can put them to work.
Yeah, the game guide in particular must be such a terrific resource. I saw Eric in chat. Hello, Eric. Linked to the website for it, but that's got to be huge, especially because maybe some of them play games, but then they don't have to think about it, right? That you can be like, no, here's the games that you need to give to the people.
This will help get you there, yeah.
And to just have it there, not to be saying, okay, send your employees to Phoenix, Arizona for a 3-week paid training session on
Yes.
game. No.
Having an easily accessible URL, especially because I remember the old brochures that I love seeing that it's even gone digital, because I remember the original brochures and being amazed at the full breakdown of like all of the different elements. So now even having it digital, that's so good. I love it.
Yeah, and what's great is we work with NPT, used to be EDAR, but they're a video game research firm, but we get updated lists monthly on here are the games, here's the new top games, here are the top games that we got added. And when we were printing these, we couldn't print them monthly. That's a ridiculous cost.
That's a lot of extra paper.
Yeah, so having this digital guide now lets us keep these updated and have those newest games always up there so that they can get in and look and see what's going on.
What are some recent additions to? This is just purely because I'm curious. What are some recent games that have been that are useful for different things? I'm fascinated to learn more about this, honestly.
This is a let Eric dig and pop that in chat so that I don't have to dig through my email.
Oh, okay.
Infinity emails.
This is Otway says the kids go wild for Disco Elysium. Yeah, that's probably not high on the list.
I appreciate the earlier one of Kingdom Hearts might not be great for short-term stays.
No, definitely not. But if you didn't know, you'd think, what a pretty kind of Disney game.
Oh, it's got Mickey Mouse in it. Here you go. Yeah.
Graham, if I can twist the question just a bit,
Yeah.
is there a game that you particularly were very excited to get on the list?
I really like, because it's so easy to go in, my two games that I always use as easy examples to non-gamers because they recognize them are Mario Kart and Minecraft. And they're great because they sort of cover lots of the different categories. But it also is so easy to explain. Oh, here's the list for merit. So there's our October edition.
Dakar Desert Rally.
Wow, I'm in.
Also, Lego games absolutely make sense to
Gardenia,
me.
Lego Brick
games,
Tales,
100%.
Overwatch, and PGA Tour 2K23.
Yeah, I need to get into hospital.
You can just buy Dakar Rally.
You can-
Sure.
But breaking down for people who don't identify as gamers, but know the idea of Mario Kart and know the idea of Minecraft, how Mario Kart is a great game that works for pain. So it just came scrolling through, but it's got this cognitive overload, right? There's so much happening in Mario Kart. You gotta dodge shells, you gotta pick up boxes, you gotta corner, you got a blue spark, you gotta do everything. It helps your brain forget about pain. It doesn't, make the pain go away. It doesn't stop the hurt. It doesn't patch the bone, but it distracts you. And Minecraft in creative mode, or the Dawn Guard Surface, been going amazing. That's been really fun to watch in the mornings. But Minecraft in creative mode gives you just this open world. Do whatever you want. I can build my castle. I could blow it up. I could just fly around. I can do whatever. It's a great game to help with anxiety. And if you have a kid who's in the hospital waiting for any upcoming procedure, right? A blood draw, a surgery, whatever it is, whatever level that they're anxious, if you give them Mario Kart, the kid's not going to complain. They're not going to say, oh, I want to play Mario Kart. I'm anxious about this thing. But Mario Kart builds that stress level and can unintentionally kind of build background anxiety on top of already I'm anxious for this thing. The kid's not going to recognize that and know it. They're going to think I'm playing Mario Kart, this is fun. But that stress is still there. Give them Minecraft. They're not going to complain that you gave me Minecraft and not Mario Kart. But give them that open world of Minecraft, can let them just sort of be and drop that level of stress and anxiety. And so those are my go-to explaining how games can actually impact. And if you have never really played them, but everybody's seen by this point at least a Mario Kart commercial during the Super Bowl and a Minecraft commercial somewhere, or seen their kids play it, and go, oh, I get those two games, and I see how those two things are different. And then go, I want to dig into this guy more. I want to know more for these other symptoms.
What's good for good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Garfield Kart? No.
No, absolutely not.
We did a whole stream of Garfield Kart, and it was hilarious, but that game is not helpful for anybody.
Oh, he's also not on stage, but one of our entertainment volunteers for this shift would just buy Garfield Kart and send it to everyone without a word ahead of time.
Oh, that was the original Garfield Kart.
Oh, sorry, this was 2?
Garfield Kart Furious Racing.
Yes.
Oh.
The sequel is broken. It's no good.
Oh, no.
I want to say I'm going to keep an eye on chat if there's any questions as well. Actually, Travis, if you want to take a look and see if you see any.
I've been keeping a gander, and Eric and Kirsten keep jumping in faster than we can get anywhere.
Okay. Well, if there's anything
One thing that I will describe that some people don't know, if you haven't had an experience in a children's hospital, you'll hear us at Child's Play talk a lot about that we support child life, which sounds like, I keep kids alive. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody wants that.
I like life.
Yeah, life, kids, great. But Child's Play, the group that we focus on helping inside the hospital is the Child Life Department. And what this department is it's what sets a children's hospital separate than an adult hospital. Both hospitals have doctors who diagnose you and then nurses who treat you. But a children's hospital has a child life staff, and their job is to not only just prepare kids at an age-appropriate level for what does this diagnosis and what does this treatment mean, but also help normalize their life for them. So they're helping them stay on track in school, but also giving them opportunities to play, giving them opportunities to still be a kid. And so that's where our focus is empowering those people who are already there taking care of kids who don't have training. Their education doesn't cover how to use games and technology, right? That's not in their curriculum. But having them understand and know games are part of play and toys now. And so how do we use those? How do we use these games and technology? And I just saw Kirsten suggest one of the things that we did this year with a grant was we actually funded a game developer at Children's Colorado who is working with doctors, with Abe, the game tech there at Colorado, to develop games that are in the hospital and there to work. We got a chance when we visited them for our symposium to play one of their games. It's called Booger Blaster, which is just what it sounds like. The kids are blasting boogers that are shot at them, but on the outside, therapists can interact with how the boogers are flying at them and what they can fight them with to work on their movement goals and things like that to work as part of therapy. So it's as fun as you think it would be with boogers flying at you and using your gun to blast them as a cat. You get to slash them with a rubber chicken sword. So
cute.
It's a good time.
Sounds rad.
Matt, you had a question.
Yeah, I had a question. So this relates to your comment about like medical training not having curricula associated with the use of technology and games in treatment. Long term, do you see a path towards like reaching out to and incorporating medical schools as a long term goal of Child's Play and starting to develop curricula that involve like using games to treat illness in kids?
That is actually something that we're looking at right now with the game techs as a whole group now, is how do we take what has been these one-off people all over the country and a couple international and build a training program, best practices and all of these things so that when they get there and a new hospital wants to start it, they're not having to do this from the ground up. We've started doing a pediatric gaming and technology symposium. So we've done that for 2 years now. And the symposium brings in game techs, it brings in some doctors to talk and share with the other attendees how they're using games and technology inside the hospital and what they're doing to push that forward. So we're starting to look there, and we've had a couple conversations sort of here and there that haven't quite taken off with a couple different child life training universities on what would a course like this look like.
Cool.
So, yeah, it's something that we know is going to be this next step.
S Blue in chat asks, has there been any interest from hospitals in hiring their own game techs?
We have seen one or two be able to do that at this point now. We've stumbled across probably 10 or so people who are doing this that were not, in our grant program, but inside the hospital doing this.
Great.
And so we've been able to roll them into this community that we've been growing of game tech. So the 38 that we funded, there's another 15, maybe a little more. Eric could probably give me better numbers in chat, but that are doing this, that are starting to see the impact. And of these 38 that we funded, half of them now have rolled off our grant funding, and these positions are operational inside. We're not able to continually fund these positions. Eric pointed out that one of the longest game tech programs we found was in Alberta Children's.
Hey,
Oh, wow.
20 years? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's like they heard about us and started their thing. It's like they knew what we'd be doing.
They saw the writing on the walls as soon as they heard about you. This Spike charity is going to do great things in 2 decades.
Take off. Let's get in front of it.
That's great.
That's probably the question I get asked the most whenever I talk about Child's Play is, do you exist in Canada? And now I can point to Alberta.
Yeah. Well,
There you go.
BC Children's in Vancouver gets support from Child's Play, and I think almost entirely because we asked about it, but the pediatric wing at Victoria General in Victoria here, which is where I was born. It's where my daughter was born. It's the only
where I
place.
was born.
Yes, it's the only place in town that does pediatrics. So
I like that everywhere that I've lived, a children's hospital within there has been a Child's Play recipient.
that's awesome.
At nearly 200 hospitals, we're getting as saturated as we can get now. We actually just added this year our first hospital in Mongolia.
That's amazing.
Wow. Rad.
So, yeah.
Wow.
We're excited. We've been excited to see some of the international ones grow.
Off I go to Mongolia.
Yeah, I know.
So you can play the card
you
or
could just
rally.
buy Dakar Rally.
No, that's a Frederick joke.
Nevermore asked, I think this is an interesting question. Have any hospitals given you pushback? Nevermore says, I'm not sure why they would, but they're curious.
No, one of the pushbacks that I got in some of the first hospital visits that I did was, sort of the older generation of child life staff who would sort of get on those screen time rants. Hey, it's about all this screen time. And it's hard because you hear that a lot. But as soon as you sort of raise the conversation with them and say, well, let's just think about a kid who's in here because they're in a bad car accident and their legs and hip are broken and they're laid up in bed in a full body cast and they love soccer. If they could get out, they'd be out on the pitch kicking that ball. That's what they'd be doing.
Mm-hmm.
If you give that kid FIFA and they're playing soccer are they doing screen time, or are they playing soccer? They're playing soccer. This is not zoning out watching the cooking channel.
How much? Sorry, Remora Vox. Yeah. How much sterile room time are they allowed every day? Yeah.
Infinite sterile room time.
Yeah.
So let's give them something else. And in post like that, very quickly, anyone who has a little bit of hesitancy about like, I don't know about these games, go, oh yeah, you're right. Yep, that makes perfect sense.
Team Bates says, in 1992, 93-ish, I went to the pediatric unit of my BC hospital for a neck injury, and my dominant memory of it is playing Mega Man on the NES for the first time.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's useful to
And that's part of the goal, right?
form a memory, right? You want your memory to be like, oh, I had fun,
you want
not
memory to be great.
it was miserable,
I have to go back and this place is miserable, but they have a PlayStation 5. I can't get a PlayStation 5. My friends can't get, but I can go back to school next week and talk about playing the PS5, and I get to play all the PS5 titles. Like, how do you beat that?
Yeah.
Question from, oh, I almost had it. Can't find it. Luckily, Julie grabbed it for me. From Animaniac Dot. Yeah, there we go. I read it. How much direct cooperation does Child's Play have with, for example, therapy dog programs?
So, because we support the Child Life Department, and therapy dogs often fall under Child Life Department, that's sort of the closest that we get. Our focus being getting games and technology and working with hospitals on how to use those means that unless it's a robo-dog, we're not there. But listen, one of the best things about visiting a hospital is seeing the therapy dogs. It's happening. It's like, it's great. So yeah, no, those are important parts of the Child Life program, but not the kind of thing that a grant at Child's Play would award.
Fair enough. Lollytex asks, I was a kid in the hospital when I was 7. Do you know if Child's Play plans to, or do you know if you have expanded to Harborview in Seattle?
We just did. I'm actually visiting, like we just added Harborview this year. I'm visiting them on Thursday.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Well, there we go.
I love hearing that.
Cool.
Oh, Eric did say, yeah, Eric pointed out that some of our game techs work with the therapy dogs doing the CCTV stuff and studio work so that they can broadcast.
Oh, neat.
And those kids who might not be able to let the dogs, get the dogs into the room can still see and interact with the dogs.
Puppy channel.
Aurora's Jackal shares, I only got into gaming because my sister broke her arm and the doctor suggested getting an NES to maintain manual dexterity. That's super interesting.
That's a great end.
Yeah. Sorator asks, do y'all do much with physical games or board games and card games, or is the focus on video games?
So we definitely, as we get, especially at PAX Unplugged coming up here, we're gonna get sent back home with lots of board games and things like that. We'll send those out. Inside hospitals, sometimes those are hard to use because they're sometimes hard to sanitize with infection control because you can't always wipe the games down.
Like paper and cardboard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But definitely are the same kind of gaming that we encourage. We also have seen a lot of hospitals start to look into how do they integrate role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons, things like that into what they're doing. Wow. So yeah, getting tabletop gaming resources into them as well.
Sweet.
Must be easy to schedule too, because they're just all there.
Just there.
No, I got other friends. No, wait, no, I don't have other plans.
Kylus 2016 shares, asthma complications almost took me out in 2004 at the age of 7. The only thing that made that experience okay, they say in quotes, for me and reduced my parents' stress was an NES, was an SNES and a handful of games. Child's Play hits very close to home. Lady Guitarka asks, speaking of Desert Bus, is Child's Play involved in any Tucson hospitals? I don't know why we've never thought to ask that before.
And this is where Eric and Kirsten get to pull up our hospital list. One of the two of them will each do that.
Staring at chat, waiting.
To be clear, I'm very happy that you have so many hospitals that you can't keep them in your head all at the same time.
Oh yeah, no, it's sorry. Yes,
Tucson Children's.
There we go from Eric.
Excellent.
Great.
I was like, I know we have one in Tucson, but what if it's not named Tucson Children's? And I just use that as a guess. And really, it's
Yeah. Scotty says, just a huge thanks. I got offered a PS4 to waste time with while I was dealing with lymphoma chemo. They also say, congrats, Graham. Cheers. Thank you, Scotty. And it makes such a difference, even here in Australia. Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you.
Our Australian hospitals are wonderful. We love them. We got to visit them a couple years ago. That was a great trip. They are trying to get caught up. They always sort of feel like they're a little bit behind, but they're super open to bringing games in. So it was a really fun visit, and they still, to this day, keep asking us questions. And when we get down there for PAX Oz, we get a chance to meet with at least the Melbourne hospitals always, and it's always great to catch up.
Nice. I had hoped, originally, I had hoped to be going back to PAX Oz this October. Obviously, that didn't happen, but hopefully I'll be able to get down there again. I do enjoy all the folks down there. Do you do any work in New Zealand? Asks Chaos Infest. I mean,
we do.
So if you go to, sorry, carry on.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're going to point them to our map, weren't you?
I was, because you've got a map on the website.
childsplaycharity.org. Find the map. But yes, along with our in 2019 we did our world tour, and so we got to our Australia, New Zealand hospitals and our UK and Ireland hospitals. So part of the world tour.
Great.
We'll get the rest of them. We've got Mongolia, we've got Kenya.
That's amazing.
But yes,
oh, this is cool.
The New Zealand hospitals are super fun.
This is cool. Curnius Maximus says, as a child, my parents could tell I needed less pain meds post-surgery when I was playing an SNES instead of just having TV. That's amazing.
Wow. It's examples. This works.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's almost like we got 2 decades of science.
345 Tom, I don't know if you're asking us or Child's Play do you work with some of the other gaming/hospital charities? I'm
gonna guess.
Desert Bus raises money for Child's Play, so I guess you.
Yeah, we do. So we mentioned I think Game to Grow earlier when I talked about D&D. Maybe I didn't. But Game to Grow is a nonprofit that works in with D&D and therapy. We work with them. Gamers Outreach is one that we buy a lot of cards from Gamer Outreach and get them into hospitals. So yeah, lots of partnerships in this space. Able Gamers, working with them on controller ideas and things like that, and connecting them to hospitals who might not have heard from them. So
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great. Cass B. James says, I work in patient advocacy, and we use the Child's Play games page as a primary resource for both young and adult patients. I just wanted to say their website helps people indirectly as well as directly. That's great. I mean, that sounds pretty direct to me, but that's terrific. That's awesome.
That's part of why we put GameTherapy.org together. Have the Therapeutic Game Guide as its own website that can be an easy piece as a reference to.
That's terrific. E. Bugle asks, aside from Desert Bus, what other big contributors does Child's Play have?
No other contributors exist. You are the only ones. You're wonderful. We love you. Don't have to do that anymore.
Take that, companies.
No pressure.
Take that, my parent company.
I'm sure
I mean, definitely partnerships with, like I mentioned, we got a ton of stuff from Sony this year, Xbox, Amazon, lots of different streamers that do things. The Draw for Charity is a really fun org that gets together and does some things for us later in the year. So we have love throughout the whole gaming community.
Sweet.
So it's a follow-up question to that then. Desert Bus only runs for another 102 hours, so...
No, not another 102
thank
hours.
Christ.
Another 55 hours.
Another
So
far.
Thank God.
Don't do that to us, Ian.
Point is,
Ian,
it
what
is
the
finite
hell?
each year. So, assuming that the chat wants to continue their generosity, what's some ways that people can individually contribute or help Child's Play out throughout the rest of the year?
Yeah, so we always have a donate button on our website. So you can always go there. You can give money even if there aren't prizes behind it. But find us at PAX. We've got fun merch. Try and get my shirt up here. This is one of our recent shirts. So we have fun merch you can buy to support Child's Play. And on our website, on that map that was linked earlier, all of our hospitals that have the ability to get items shipped to them from Amazon. So getting larger and larger across the globe, have wish lists, and inside those wish lists, they have items that they specifically ask for. So if you have a hospital near you and you want to check them out and be like, what do they need? That wish list, assuming we can get a hold of them and update them, is updated with items they want. We ask a lot, and sometimes it takes a lot of asking to get them to update their list. If there's games and controllers on there, they need them.
That's direct connection. That's amazing.
Yeah. Lord Hosk shares, Child's Play also my computer went to sleep. Child's Play also helps parents. Playing the, just such a specific thing, playing the B-movie video game on a Child's Play supplied Xbox with the little Hosk was the only thing that kept me being a daddy while waiting for another series of tests instead of turning into a blubbering mess on the floor. I can only imagine. Thank you for sharing that, Lord Hosk. Super Sarab asks, does Child's Play use STEM toys like Dashbot or Osmo, or is it just focused on video games? I feel like you could double dip, distracting from pain and anxiety, but also growing an interest in STEM.
Yeah, definitely. Those are great things that we've sent as well. We also have sent 3D printers and computers so they can use those. I'm trying to think if we've officially funded any. Oh no! Why am I laser engraver? My brain, it blinks.
The Glowforge?
Glowforge.
Oh, he's everywhere.
There we go.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've officially funded that, but we definitely have game techs who are using those. So yes, definitely in that STEM space as well with things.
Animaniac asks, when we're not in a pandemic that's totally over, yep, is there any way to volunteer to just play games with kids? What a fun idea.
Yeah, so that is definitely something to check with your local hospital. And if you're not sure exactly how to ask them that question, you can always reach out to us and we can sort of help you navigate that route. But it is, that kind of volunteer gaming is a growing need that they're seeing. And we at Child's Play, because we're in so many different hospital systems and so many different hospitals, we don't have this sort of, we give you the green light, the hospital says you can come in, they've got their whole system to go through. And know that when you start volunteering with them, they might just ask you to do things like wash the Legos for us so the next kid can play with it. Dip them in the bleach bucket, do this. And as you're there, you can sort of comment on that Xbox that's over there. And hey, how's that going with that? Or what is this? So don't be deterred if when you first come in, they just start feeling you out and asking you to do the cleaning chores or the little things like that.
That seems reasonable.
Yes.
Yeah, use that to build up and mention, hey, I noticed that GameCube in the cupboard. You got other games for it? What if we hooked that up one day and brought some old school GameCube, old school games kids to play?
Probably get some strange looks if you just wandered into a hospital and said, yes, I'd like to run two of Elemental Horrors for a group of kids.
Bob the Ninja Goldfish mentioned in chat that he's run D&D games for kids in hospital.
That's amazing.
Which is terrific. Lieutenant Dan asks, Child's Play provided, shares, Child's Play provided CS Mott Children's with a 3D printer and a laptop that we use daily, from making fidgets to custom 3D designs made by the kids. That's so cool.
That's rad.
Oh, that's awesome.
One of the cool things we just learned, and I don't have my example here because it's at the office, but one of our game techs used a 3D printer. So if you don't know, a port is a piece of medical equipment that they'll embed under your skin so that they can inject medicine into you and not have to continually pierce your veins. And he had a 17-year-old guy who was like, not going to take that. Nope, they can't put one of those in me until I can see it. But they're thousands of dollars expensive medical equipment. You can't just give one to a kid to touch and play around with. So he used a 3D printer, mocked one up, 3D printed one, gave him the 3D printed, and he went, got it.
Liz was
So
talking.
yeah,
Liz was talking about this the other day on Dawn Guard. I don't have.
Yeah.
Some people in chat were like, "Oh, like Grant, I don't have a port. I have a different thing called a PIC line, which is similar, but it's not. It's
Similar, but
not the
yeah.
same. The port is a lot seems a lot more invasive. And Liz was talking exactly about that because she had a port when she was 7, I think it was, and she was talking about how they're using 3D printing now to be like, check it out. Here's what this is.
What you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That same game tech printed a negative mold of a brain.
Oh.
So they could fill that with Play-Doh.
Yeah.
And then could use a different color Play-Doh to show, hey, you have a tumor. Here's where your tumor is. Here's what we're gonna do.
Wow.
So yeah, we've seen some really cool things come out of the 3D printers. And
That's amazing.
See if I can get through this one with it. This one always tears me up, so I'm gonna work really hard to get through it at least.
All right.
But very often, hospitals, very often is a hard way to say that. Sometimes not all children can make it out of the hospital. And families will get memories and mementos from the hospital. And sometimes that is a clay handprint of the child or something like that. Which, if that moves, in the move that breaks, or a family, parents divorce and who gets the handprint or things like that, they can be temporary mementos. But we've seen our game techs use 3D camera modeling to model, mom and the child holding hands, and then 3D print that and have, not only that mold, that model that can last forever, but also the STL file. So if that is lost or grandma wants one, they can print another one. And so seeing it for those legacy creation that is something we wouldn't think about. Eric put in lithographs, so they're doing 3D printed lithographs of pictures. Is not what we thought when we sent a 3D printer, but it's what game techs were like, hey, look what we did. And we were just like, they're amazing. Like, the game techs blow us away all the time.
That's phenomenal.
And I made it. I didn't quite fully choke up.
Oh boy, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm almost there.
I am. It is. My eyes are blurred.
Yep.
They haven't
Yeah,
fallen,
no, I
but
paused
they're
for a
there.
minute. There was a breather in the middle there. Oh yeah, there's one up in chat. An example of what a 3D lithograph picture looks like.
I can't believe it's raining inside.
Yeah, what is going on here?
Weird.
Mustang.
Strange
Yeah.
evening for it.
Thinking about those for just that idea. We have this file. We could print it again.
Oh, that's
And
amazing.
as 3D printing technology gets better, we can print it smoother and cleaner even if we wanted to do another one.
Unabashedly.
That's so
good
cool. I had no idea about
use
any of
of
the 3D
technology.
printing stuff. That's amazing. Technology is so cool.
Hey,
It's pretty great. It's super fun to watch what they do.
Ben.
Cool technology.
Cool technology.
All right. Let's wrap up with this one because I think this is a fun question of just what's been the most popular game across the hospitals this year. What's the Child's Play game of the year for 2022?
Elden Ring.
It does not have to be a game that came out in 2022.
Elden Ring.
Yeah, Elden Ring. I'm sure. Yeah.
Ooh, and if the answer is Minecraft, you have to pick another one.
There we go.
Okay, I was gonna say Minecraft is probably it. Fortnite gets asked for a lot, but Fortnite runs into trouble because it needs to be online, which is still a
Yep.
touchy spot on whether or not games can be online. Mario Kart gets a lot of love. I'm waiting to see if Eric puts something up because Eric chats with the game chats. more
Angelic
regularly.
Bovine saying Dakar Rally. Rassilon D&D says, sorry, I said we'd wrap with that one, but this is interesting too. Says, maybe it's a silly question, but how can I volunteer for Child's Play?
So we're always in this unique spot. One, if you're in the Seattle area, it's easier to maybe do something with us. We have some volunteer opportunities, especially when we do our Christmas and July boxes and stuff those. We're stuffing 150-ish boxes full of things. And so getting volunteers for that is always great. If you're not in the Seattle area, but you're attending a PAX, reach out to us and see if we need some volunteers to work at our booth. That's always a great way to do that. But if those two things don't line up, reach out to your local hospital, because what they do need is they need that help with someone playing games doing that tech side of things. Like I said, it might be a slow burn to get in. You might have to wash some Legos, but you might also stop the loving grandma who's there dipping the Xbox and PlayStation controllers in the bucket of bleach and be like, no, don't do that. So you can save some controllers too.
Kibe35 says, I'm in the Seattle area. Is there a list I can get on?
We don't have a list, but the info at childsplaycharity.org, send us an email to touch base, and we will do that there. We have a few opportunities like that, but generally inside the hospital, is the better place to do that.
Great. And apparently, if we exclude Minecraft and Mario Kart and Fortnite, according to Eric in the chat, the techs have been playing a lot of Deep Rock Galactic this year, so pretty cool. We've played that on several streams actually over here, so that's super
Where's
cool.
Elden Ring on the list?
It's probably not on the list.
Matthew!
I can't. You're already dealing with whatever you're in hospital for, and then you also have to try and fight Melania? That sounds like a very bad idea.
I mean, it would keep you distracted for dang sure for a very long time.
I can't
Something
even.
else for your brain to go
I
to.
can't even beat Melania. Yeah. Did somebody say Rock and Stone? Heck yeah. Well,
There we go. Someone got Deep Rock Galactic pulled off the game guide, right?
there you go. There you go. Yeah, this has been a delightful insight into everything that goes on at Child's Play, and just lovely to catch up with you, honestly, because it's been a couple years.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's time. Yeah, no, it's good to see you, and that you're doing well, Graham.
Thank you.
To say in person that you're doing well.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you guys so much. We cannot say thank you enough on the Child's Play side for what you all at Desert Bus, the community that you've grown, and the community inside chat does for Child's Play. It's amazing. You all, chat's over here for me. There, I don't know, in this direction. But you guys, this community and the support that we get and the love that we get during November, this time frame is a crazy time for Child's Play, and we get this week where we just get love, we can feel it coming in from everywhere, and Desert Bus is on everybody's screen while we're trying to get work done. It is a great way to give us this boost as we push through the end of the year, and we cannot thank you guys enough.
Oh, but, well, thank you for doing everything that you do over there. We wouldn't do this if we didn't think that was worthwhile. So thank you all. Yeah. All right. If people want to get a hold of you or Child's Play in general, what's the best thing for them to do with their computer or phone?
My name's real weird to spell because my Eriksen, it's on there, so it's just T Eriksen at childsplaycharity.org. But also info, much easier than spelling Eriksen, at childsplaycharity.org, will also get to me.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, Travis. Thank you also, Eric and Kirsten in the chat there, for also answering questions. And yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Bye.
Bye, Travis. Thanks, everybody.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was that was a great chat. That ended up being an hour.
I know.
It didn't feel like an hour.
I was
that
genuinely
awesome.
impressed that we had solid conversation with a lot of good in-depth
Thanks so
discussions
much,
for an
yeah.
hour.
That was fun. I love
That was
it.
awesome.
One day we can get that clipper back, and we'll be there in person.
Woo!
Yes.
Still alive in the room.
Every year when we build our travel budget, we put in a budget to come to Desert Bus, and we're like,
Soon. Sometime again. I haven't been to PAX in a few years either, so it goes both directions. Oh boy. That was great.